What's up, Trader's Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option, and this is your look at the week ahead. I'm going to give you the levels I'm watching in the S&P and the Qs. We're going to talk about bonds. We're going to talk about the VIX, and I'm going to give you the 5 stocks I'm watching. So with that, let's dig in. All right. So it was an ugly week for the markets, notably the S&P and the Qs. Thursday was the big ugly one. The S&P 500 got almost to the 50-day moving average at 57.01. Watch that level. If it breaks there, we could be really in for some trouble. Now, we have the election coming up. Remember, the election. It's a big deal. What do I think is going to happen out of it with the S&P? The market's nervous about this. I mean, talking to traders, everybody, the markets are nervous that there's going to be a problem. I don't think it's going to happen. So what you're going to see, I think, is some more selling pressure on Monday and Tuesday. And then when we do have, if and when we have a winner announced, either Wednesday or Thursday, you will see a relief rally. And we could hit new all-time highs out of that. It'll be potentially booming. Now, the Qs are in a similar situation, almost the exact same chart. They're just have never reached those new all-time highs. They've really been failing to be able to break 500 now for a couple of days. So really interesting how those are trading. The Qs, you've got these moving averages kind of on top of each other. I think it's almost certainly going to touch 481. We had out of the Mag 7, 5 of them reported last week. Google was good, Amazon was good, Apple not good, Microsoft not good, Meta. Those are the 3 kind of high flyers. The 2 more boring ones did not do very well. So the piece that's been really ugly is the bond market. This is TLT, and it looks bad. The last time we had a candle like this, we're below the lows from July. It looks like we're hunting a break of 90, which was July 1st. And the last time we saw bond market selling was in April, and that wasn't very good for the market. The last time we saw real bond market selling was in October of 2023. That also was not very good for the market. That's the one thing that could shake up this whole thesis, is if the bond market falls apart. VIX, I've been talking election. There's a reason. It is market moving. And futures term structure is built like we're about to have an event. I think when you see the VIX this time next week, if my thesis is correct, which I believe it is, and we get an outcome, the bond market doesn't fall apart, VIX might be 15 or even lower. I'm not kidding you. It could fall that hard. That's how much election premium is built into these markets. All right, so let's look at the 5 stocks I am watching. And they're going to be mostly Mag 7, but not all Mag 7. Apple. Where is that stock chart? There we go. Apple, bad earnings, closed below the 100-day moving average. It got overbought. The last time it got down here was in the middle of September. I think we'll hunt 215 for sure. The lows would be about 213. If we get some real pressure, that would get us down to this 150-day moving average of 209. That would happen Monday or Tuesday. I think the selling in Apple will be short-lived. It's so widely held. There's so much stock buying in it. But you could see some pressure down to 210. Next up, Amazon. So Amazon closed at exactly 200 twice in July. Outside of that, it's never closed above 200. I think that changes next week. Expect a little bit of selling Monday and Tuesday, some profit taking, but then post-election, I think Amazon is going to take off. Next on my list is going to be Reddit. The front page of the internet absolutely blew up on their earnings. They were spectacular. It did have a little bit of a pullback on Friday. I'd love to see a little bit more of a pullback. It's not closing this gap, folks. It gets anywhere near 100, I'm going to be looking to buy. I like this one long term. Intel actually reported good earnings, got a pop. We know Apple's thinking about buying them. Qualcomm, Apollo wants to put money into them. There's a reason. This asset is worth something. It's worth more than it's currently pricing. I would buy. I'm long it, and I would be looking to buy more. I think it's going to be back at $30 faster than you can imagine. And last but not least, in the market, we are watching ExxonMobil. Had great earnings, and then they absolutely torched it. It's at kind of it's at levels that we haven't seen since it had this nice little run up back in September. Is it going to break back to 110? Good. Really interesting. CVX kind of much better earnings, held up. Short sell out of Exxon, buy CVX might actually be a trade. All right, folks. Like I said, keep an eye on those bonds. Keep an eye on the VIX. Those are two things, and just be ready for that election. That election is going to move things. Like I said, I think this time next Friday, we could see the VIX at 15, and my election trade that I have on is going to be up, hopefully, I think about 100%. That's the way I'm set up. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you got a question, leave a comment. If you're watching this in an email, there's still time to jump in my election trade. Click this link to join our special situations group. I have another trade lined up in U.S. Steel heading your way, so be prepared for that. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Talk to you soon.